What's going on, you guys? Riley here. Today we are reviewing this 2017 BMW M2. Now this is the entry-level M car, but does that make it quite possibly the best M car? Now I know most people would go out and say that the M3 or the M5 are kind of the most iconic M cars, the ones that everybody wants. But for me, I think I might really like this M2 here, and today we're going to talk about why I think this car is such a great deal, especially on the used market, and also what my thoughts and opinions are on the M2, comparing it to some other things in its class, such as the AMG C63, the Cadillac ATS-V, and a few others. So before we get too deep into this review, let's go ahead and go over some of the specs on this car and some of the obvious features. Starting off with the color on this car, Long Beach Blue Metallic, which is a $700 option when you buy this car brand new, and it's totally worth it. This thing looks so good. One of the best colors I've ever seen on any car. Love the way that it really pops as soon as the sun hits it, and also some of the darker parts when the shadows are hitting it. Absolutely love this color. Now typically in most of my videos I go over the engine last. However, we're going to do it first in this car because it is such an important part of this particular car. So this car comes in at about 3,400 pounds, just a little bit over that, which isn't exactly the lightest car, but it's also not the heaviest. It's kind of right there in that happy sweet spot medium level. This car has a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 engine that produces 365 horsepower and 343 pound-feet of torque. Now, I know none of those numbers by themselves are earth-shattering to many of you. You know, we're used to cars nowadays having way more power than that. However, if you pair it in the right package and you pair it with the right transmission, it can actually make for quite a good car. Now, just going to continue on with the walk around here. So as you can see, you have some nice large drilled rotors there with the blue calipers. That looks really nice. I like the way the two blues kind of contrast against each other. And then going over to the side profile, you realize just how small this car is. It's very small, very nimble. Just on my way over here, I was having a ton of fun on some of the back roads I take to get to my filming spot, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun filming this video today. And then coming around to the back, this is where it kind of loses me a little bit. The back is very generic BMW. There's nothing really special going on back here. Yeah, you have the quad exhaust, so you can kind of tell, oh, it's somewhat of a sporty car. You get the little M2 badge here on the rear. Just a tiny little spoiler, kind of basic taillights, basic kind of everything from the rear. So I would say this car's weakness is definitely going to be its rear end, but the front end just looks very aggressive, especially in this particular view right here. Absolutely love the way this thing looks from the front. All right, so as you can see, we are switching over to GoPro view, which means the interior portion of this video is right around the corner. But first, let's go ahead and show off the rear trunk, which is the only trunk, but actually quite large in here. I was kind of impressed. So decent amount of practicality if you were going to buy one of these things to daily drive. I think you'd have no complaints there. But now let's go ahead, we'll hop in the interior, starting off with the key. It does have keyless entry. These BMW keys, they look nice from the outside, but they're very lightweight and feel very plasticky and very cheap. It's not something that you would expect from a company like BMW. But let's go ahead and hop on in here and check out what's going on inside the interior of the M2. So starting off, my absolute favorite thing about the interior is all of the blue stitching accents. I think that is so cool, especially with the blue exterior. It pairs together very nicely. Now, as you might be able to see here, you do get some back seats back here. I wouldn't say they're the most usable, as you can kind of see there. But I guess if you had somebody sitting in the back that was very short, it would probably be okay. Let's go ahead and climb in here myself. So this driver's seat is in the seating position where I was sitting, and I do fit back here. I would say it's very comparable to a Camaro back seat. It's not the best, and if we spin this around, you can see my head is touching the roof, but I've been in worse, so it can be usable. Can be used, sorta. Come to think of it, I think it would be slightly a little bit better than a 6th gen Camaro in the back seat of this car. So I guess that's a 1-up for this thing compared to some of the other 2-seater sports cars out there on the market. But let's go ahead and start this thing up and we'll go over some of the features. Okay, so my impressions on the M2 interior are not the absolute best. I think it's a little bit basic in here, and I kind of get that BMW was going for that vibe of, you know, somewhat basic, but I think it might just be a little bit too much. So this whole section right here looks the exact same from BMWs from 10, 20 years ago. They haven't really changed this design much. I get it, it works, it just doesn't look the best. It's about time for them to do something different. This screen up here is very confusing to use. You have to use all these buttons here. This thing rotates, it also moves around. You have a back button down here. Does a lot of different things, so it's okay. There's just a lot of confusion going on when you try to do simple things, and I don't exactly think it's the best. But then again, most German cars that I hop into are kind of the same way. I know Mercedes systems are a bit confusing. Audi's is mostly right here in front of you. So I would say Audi's probably the easiest one to navigate through. But BMW and Mercedes have definitely perfected making that screen there as complicated as you can. But as far as features, I mean, you get all of your radio preset buttons there. You have dual zone climate control, you have heated seats, and really that's about it that's going on here. Moving over in front of you, there's actually, to my surprise, no digital speedometer. So this is a 2017 car with no digital speedometer. I feel like that's a little basic. It's one of those little things that if a car doesn't have it, it always kind of irks me a little bit. I can read perfectly fine. It's just a little bit nicer when it actually displays a number somewhere. Or even if they left it just like this, the traditional gauges, and then put a heads-up display, that'd be perfect as well, but unfortunately not the case. But very simple gauges, not much going on here, not very digital, but it's kind of the traditional BMW look, so I don't mind it. Onto the steering wheel now. I actually really like the steering wheel. You have some nice grips up here at 9 and 3. You also have some great paddle shifters, which have a very nice feel to them. They have like a very metal texture to them. And moving over to the center, this is where one of the car's best features is, and that is the dual clutch transmission. Now this is a 7-speed dual clutch transmission that should allow for 0 to 60 times just over 4 seconds. So I get it doesn't have a crazy number of horsepower, but 4.1 0 to 60 is very respectable and very quick, regardless of what car you're in. Also, you have your different little modes here for sport and comfort, and your traction control button. But other than that, everything is pretty basic in here. You're not paying for really anything extraordinary or fancy that any other car does not have. That does have a Harman Kardon sound system, which sounds good but not great. I actually think the Harman Kardon in all the Dodge and SRT vehicles, for example, sounds better in those. And coming up here to the top, you have a very large SOS button. I guess they're thinking you're gonna have a lot of emergencies in this car, so make the button as big as you possibly can. But that is kind of your basic overview of the M2 interior. You also have a little carbon fiber trimming throughout, kind of nice on the door, dash, and all through this center area here. But that is your basic overview of the M2 interior. All of this is fine and dandy, but let's go see how this thing drives out on the road, see what the exhaust sounds like, and see how fun it is. Alrighty, let's go give the good old M2 a good test on the road and see how it does. So, fun fact about this car, I actually took this car in on trade-in. I guess it was about 3 days ago now. The customer that traded this thing in, traded it in for a SS 1LE Camaro. Basically, he said he wanted something a little bit more aggressive, and I don't disagree with that. Definitely a lot more refined than a Camaro, I will give it that, but I can definitely see, you know, one is definitely tailored for the more aggressive side of things, and one of them is a little bit more refined. So let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road and see how it does. That is just easing into it. It got up there real quick. Let's test out the cornering. Might as well start it off. Does pretty darn good. Huh. So I've got the car in sport mode right now, and I would say the big difference between sport mode and comfort mode, which are really your only two modes in this car, throttle response is just hugely different compared to comfort. But when you're getting onto it, there's some lag. Now this car is a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and actually this morning I went and reviewed the mid-engine Corvette, which has a 8-speed dual clutch transmission. And we'll go ahead, I'll give you my feedback here. This thing is not fast at all to downshift. What? So I am cruising in 4th gear. I'm going to downshift into 3rd and listen for, actually I'll just tell you when it actually does. So here we go, paddle. Now. What? Why is there so much of a delay? I don't get it. Huh. So I actually just discovered it. You have to have your foot on the gas and then downshift, and then it's quick. But if your foot is off the gas and you downshift, there is a good, I don't know, 2-3 second delay. But if your foot's on the gas, then it's quick. That's pretty fast. It's not fast, it's quick, and it's pretty quick. So if you're on the brake like I am now, and you're trying to downshift, it is terribly slow at doing that. That's so weird. You have to have your foot on the gas. I've never seen that. And we'll downshift into 1st gear here. That was the slowest delay. I can't get over that. That's crazy. But yes, when you are going forward in the car and you are shifting, it does a very good job. So we will go ahead, shift it over into drive and see how it does, letting the car shift itself. It's like you shift and the power completely falls off, and then once you get back into the power band, then it picks back up. You can definitely tell it's a 6-cylinder. You can definitely tell it's turbocharged. It is quick, very quiet exhaust also. From what I hear, you can make these things sound very, very good with just a downpipe on them, and also they respond very well to modifications. So before I started this video, I thought, well, what if I just did a tune? No other modifications, just a tune. How much power could I get? And it was about an extra 60 horsepower from just doing an ECU flash. So that's pretty impressive. You can get some nice power just off a simple tune. But in bone stock form, I wouldn't say it's anything as great as I was hoping for it to be. I wanted to go into this video loving this car. I really did. I don't know. It's just not as good as I was thinking it was going to be. So we're barely going. We're going to punch it. Lots of lag, lots of lag. Oh, there we go. The traction control is very intrusive. It was saying no fun for you. So that was surprising. The traction control button was blinking that entire time. It lets you have 0 fun with traction control on. So I guess you got to turn traction control off to let any type of wheel spin happen. I will say the car is very comfortable. It's very easy to drive. Things are placed in, you know, good spots. The steering wheel feels good. The transmission, when you're just in automatic mode, is very responsive. You might be able to tell I'm in sport mode right now, and the road, it's a bit bumpy, and you feel the bumps. So we're gonna tone it down, and we're gonna put it into comfort mode and see how it does there. So the throttle immediately just dies on you. Like when you're getting on the gas, it's like nobody's home. Like, hello, put your foot in, and finally it comes alive. All right, we're gonna get on it and then hit my favorite corners. Stepped out a little bit on me. Oh, we got some speed going into the corner. Man, it kind of feels heavy. I like the steering. The steering feels good. It's very responsive, but the car itself has a lot of body roll to it, and you feel a lot of weight. I was kind of surprised by that. This car is definitely not a Miata. You feel some weight. I think for me, if I was going to buy a BMW similar to this, I don't know if I'd necessarily go all the way for the M2. I think I might go for, I guess there's like an M235i or M240i. I think that's the great bargain to go with. It's not quite the M car, but really the differences aren't that huge. You can save yourself some money and get one of those, and really it's just as good of a car. This one has, you know, a couple extras like better brakes, the styling's a little bit better, but overall, you're not really missing out on many features because there's not many to begin with. Heated seats. I forgot to show you guys the window sticker a little bit earlier in this video, so I'll go ahead and pop up a photo of it now. The MSRP, I don't remember exactly what it is, but you're looking at it, was close to $60,000 when this car was brand new. And that's a lot of money for a car that there's a lot of other cars for $60,000 that are better than this car. And I hate to say that because it's an M2 and it's an M car. It's supposed to be great, but there's a lot of other things I'd pick for 60 grand. However, on the used market, this one in particular is for sale at the dealership I work at, and it's somewhere in the upper 30s. For the upper 30s, it's a pretty good deal. I would be a bit leery of BMW maintenance and reliability, but I think if I was gonna get one of these, I would have to modify it. I would do a downpipe and I would do a tune. I think that would be the perfect recipe for this car. I think that's what it needs. Just a little bit more oomph. I can get past the lack of some features and things like that. It just needs a little bit more oomph. It doesn't give me the M feeling that I was hoping it would. So I think that would be probably the route I would go. So to the customer that traded in this car, who I know is probably watching this video, yes, I think you made a great decision trading this in for an SS1LE. The SS1LE, it's less expensive than this car, new, by about 15, 20 grand, depending on which trim you get. You get more features, more power, better sound, better handling, better looks in my opinion. I mean, everything else is kind of better about that car. And I know I'm biased, I work for Chevrolet, but it really is a great platform. The SS1LE is the best bang for your buck. If you're looking for a sports car around, mid-40s, something brand new, that car is great. But there you have it, guys. My thoughts and opinions on the 2017 BMW M2. Overall, I do think it's a very good car. Just being a little bit harsh on it for some things that I think could be improved. But if you're in the market for a BMW M2 specifically, go drive one. Go see what you think. I think you could probably tell a lot by just a simple test drive to see if you think you'd like it or not. Still one of the top 5 best exterior colors I've ever seen on any car, so I gotta give it that. It is fun. It just isn't the car for me, but like I said, go check one out for yourself and see what you think. And if you happen to have driven one in the past, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Was I spot on with my review? Was I way off? Let me know. But as always, guys, thank you for watching this video. I will see y'all in the next one. Take it easy.